So those business decisions that are built into a forecast and impact your business performance, but they may be movable and malleable. So hiring someone, opening a new location, buying a truck or new kitchen equipment for your bakery, all of those business decisions impact your forecast. But what if you could separate those into Lego blocks and then adjust them?
Welcome to the Smart Strategy for CPAs podcast, where I help you work less and make more. My name is Geraldine Carter. Most business owners run their business for a reason, and that reason is usually to make more money. And to make more money, it helps business owners if they can better understand their financials and make better informed decisions. And though a P&L and a balance sheet are very useful tools, for many everyday business owners, those two documents require a lot of mental extrapolation to be able to forecast from. What many business owners want is a simple tool that can help them understand and forecast the impact of decisions before they even make them. Here today to talk with me about better understanding visually financials is my guest, Rowan Eister, U.S. Head of Business Development for the financial reporting and forecasting tool, Fathom. Rowan, welcome to the Smart Strategy for CPAs podcast.
Hi, Geraldine. So happy to be here.
Thank you so much for talking with us today. I know our listeners are going to get a lot out of this conversation. So let's start with a high level here for CPAs and accountants who perhaps have heard of Fathom but haven't really had the time to get in under the hood to see what's going on, what it is, and what it can do. Tell listeners at a high level what Fathom is and what it's for.
Fathom is a business intelligence tool, and I really think of it as the advisor's toolkit. So if you are looking to build more advisory relationships with your clients or deepen those relationships, Fathom really serves as your all-around toolkit, and you can pull the tools that you want, use the one that's most important, or utilize them all to really open up that revenue stream of advisory and improve your relationships with clients.
And talk a little bit about what is in the toolkit that can be woven into advisory services.
Fathom will plug into your client's financial data. So we'll directly integrate with QuickBooks of all types, online and desktop. For those of you that have clients that are on desktop, we also directly integrate with Xero. And we allow you to pull over financials from Excel. So that's our core level and what kind of information we're receiving. And once that data goes into Fathom, we'll automatically start calculating KPIs like gross profit margin, total revenue, some of those insights that are just a little bit deeper level than the standard income statement. We will also take that business and visualize the performance so that someone who is not an accountant, like your client, can look at these tools and start to really understand and engage with their performance. Beyond that, we provide consolidations. We do benchmarking. So if you have a specialization of clients, like you only work with dental firms, then you can start to benchmark them across each other. Or if you work with a large franchise, you can start seeing how different locations stack up. There's some really powerful tools for groups of companies. We also have introduced forecasting, which kind of takes Fathom to the next dimension of, I understand my past results. It's informing me on my current performance and how I'm doing, what I can change. And now I can take those and plan for the future and even plan out things like best case scenario, if we secure that VC funding, or worst case scenario, if we don't, start mapping things out like what's it going to look like if we close all of our office space and everyone goes virtual. So we've really created Fathom with the idea of how do you make clients understand their performance in a way that really resonates with them and that they can get involved with. And also, how do you plan for the future in a smart, strategic way that is not just a static forecast that, you spent 12 hours creating and is not going to be applicable next month when things change.
Okay, great. So there's a lot going on in there that I want to unpack. Let's talk about first the visual piece, because I think one of the challenges that business owners run into is that they get their P&L, and for them, if you're schooled in a P&L and you know exactly what you're looking at and you read these things all day, you can look at a P&L and be like, okay, I get what's going on. You can maybe look compared to last month or last year, year to date, and you start to get fluent in these things and you can spot which numbers are on the page are important. But when you're an everyday business owner and your craft is construction, trying to make a decision off of the bewildering quantity of numbers on the page is really difficult. So can you speak to the visual part, the visual representation of the numbers and the way that Fathom does that? What's that look like? What options do CPAs and accountants have to be able to present these numbers in simpler ways for their clients?
That is exactly right. And we hear that story time and time again. My client trusts me to kind of tick this box that their numbers are correct. But beyond that, they may kind of glaze over when we give them that income statement and it's not really landing with them in a meaningful way. So Fathom allows, first of all, our product is focused around design. So the visuals are really at the core of how unique it is. It's something that we really pride ourselves on, and it's always kind of at the forefront of any developments that we make in product. So that is kind of our sweet spot. Some of those visuals are as simple as color coding things. Green is what you're doing well. These are the goals that we set that you are hitting or exceeding, and red are the ones that are areas that we need to give attention to. And you can say that all day to a client, but actually showing that can make all the difference. One of the tools that comes to mind when I talk about like powerful visuals of financial performance is our cash flow tool. So we'll actually take the cash flows, the movement of cash in your business, and show them going in and out and where they are coming from in terms of revenue and where they are going in terms of expenses. And that can be so powerful to show a client that really, in the past, maybe they're just looking at what their bottom line is, how much cash do they have right now, and maybe freaking out a little bit, but not understanding it enough to see what levers they can pull and things they can change to affect that. So that's a really powerful one. We use colors. We make sure everything is pretty aesthetically pleasing and simple to look at. So none of our reports or even our analysis tools, that's a very visual component of Fathom, none of them are going to be too much information on one page. None of them are going to be super fine print, really busy. We do allow you to create those standard financial statements that your clients may need, but we allow you to take those and totally pull them apart to understand this is not just your profit, but this is how it's changed over the past year. And this is how we're comparing to the same month of last year and the year before. And what is affecting these changes, and how do we go in and modify those things? So I think of it as like a look under the hood. We kind of take those financial results and bring them to life in a way that is more meaningful than just that income statement or just that kind of spreadsheet of numbers that you may be giving to clients.
Awesome. So one of the things I'm wondering about in here is for business owners, they need things simplified.
Right.
But for us numbers people, we like to knowing all the numbers helps us understand the complete picture. So in some ways, we're kind of like opposite kinds of people. And I'm wondering, when I hear you talk about simplifying it, I'm wondering if listeners are thinking to myself, oh my God, if I oversimplify it, I'm going to lose all the meaning, or, the detail level is important. I'm wondering what you hear from users of the product when they put simplified information in front of their clients. They might be worried that it's oversimplified. Is that what they're finding, or what are the business owning clients reporting back when they see more simplified, better visually presented data?
That is an excellent point. And I think as accountants, we don't want to lose that accuracy, the granularity that allows us to look at that and say, I know exactly where that number is coming from and I know it's right. So when I present this to the client, I can feel confident in that. Fathom really allows you to pull over all of those numbers. First of all, in terms of accuracy, we'll plug right into the QuickBooks file. So you know that there's no human error of typing the number in incorrectly. It's all going back to that. a financial file, wherever it's coming from. So you have that peace of mind foundationally. And then beyond that, we allow you to get pretty much as detailed as you want. So a financial statement, for instance, could show every single account and the totals for the periods that you're looking at. It could also, you can toggle back and forth in Fathom between which version you want. So I want the full detail. I know that my business owner client needs to see all of these numbers, and he will ask if I don't show them. And you can also go to the sales team of that same business and show them a summarized or condensed version. Maybe they don't need all the details. So it's almost really as simple as that. We allow you to toggle back and forth and control the level of detail on the financials that you are showing. So I always recommend build those statements in the income statement, the balance sheet, the things that your clients need. And then where I see that magic happening is when you add on beyond that. So here's your balance sheet, but here is how the cash is moving. And let's just look at a visual of that over the past 18 months in, bright red and really see how that's moving. So you have the financial foundation there, and then you can kind of take the next step on pulling out the important insights and really drilling down into them.
So you mentioned cash flow right in there. So let's go over to cash flow. This is a huge struggle point for so many business owners who look at their bank account as a measure of how their business is doing and have perhaps tenuous understanding of what cash is actually doing in their business, how it's flowing in and out. So can you talk to us about the cash flow tool, how it works, what it looks like, what business owners say when they see it represented differently through this tool?
Yeah, that's, like I said, that's one of my favorites because I have heard so much great feedback and great stories about, I've been communicating this to clients for years, but it never stuck. And I've been recommending, there's one advisor who we work with who actually said, I've been recommending that my client invest this much money each year. And he was unwilling to do it because he was afraid of that cash flow number. And once he saw this, he understood this is how much I have that I can really move around. So it's a visual comparative that really shows you red and green in a bar format. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this on a podcast that's non-visual. Simple color coding, and it will show you at the very top, here is all of my revenue inflow. And then it will show you how things are moving in and out beyond and under that. And it takes you down through the entire waterfall of those changes and how you arrive at net cash flow down at the bottom. So if your client, their eye might go right to net cash flow, and then they can look through that waterfall and understand the actual flow. Lots of water analogies in here, but they can see those movements in the red and green. What is taking money out? Where are we losing the most money? And what is bringing money in? Where is that coming from? So that you're seeing the cash flow number, which, like you said, that's what they gravitate toward is where are we at? What's the cash flow right now? But how is that changing? What's affecting that? And if we want to change that number next month or next quarter, what kind of things can we adjust to get there?
So let's also talk about the forecasting piece. So many business owners are looking for, of course, a crystal ball. We all want to know what's going to happen in our businesses and understand, what's going to happen with the financials. And if I make that decision, how does that impact things? You mentioned earlier about blue sky scenario, running other scenarios. If we hire, if we don't hire, if we get the VC funding, if we don't get the VC funding. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with the forecasting tool and what it's helping business owners see when they use it?
Our forecasting tool will take your results from the last 12 months and build out a forecast. So in a lot of ways, this comes up in Fathom. We're fairly plug and play. We'll kind of build this out for you and then allow you a whole lot of room for customization, basically as deep as you want to go with customizing. So you'll have your main grid of the forecast where you can see all of the accounts and how they have changed month over month and how, based on those past numbers, how they are predicted to evolve over the next 12 months. And you can also go in and modify those things based on what you know is coming or the investment you know that this client is going to make. So it will respin, your forecast will respin based on how the actuals come through in that time frame. And that's one of my favorite things about Fathom's forecasting tool that's pretty unique. It's not a static forecast. It is going to evolve with your business and allow you to continue making strategic movements based on how things happen. And the last year and a half is an excellent example of things moving around and probably a bunch of forecasts that were totally inaccurate because who saw any of that coming? So we wanted to build that tool in a way that, it's kind of an evergreen, useful forecast in an ongoing way, not just this month. It's a useful forecast, but it's going to grow and change with your business. We have a great tool within forecasting called the Business Roadmap, and that's where you can actually build out changes, decisions that you may want to make in your business or that your client has expressed interest in or you think may happen. So those things like taking on funding. If we secure that funding deal from our investor, that's what this will look like. And you can plug that in and watch the financials change and see the impacts right away. We allow you, our business roadmap lets you kind of take those out, time them month over month, and then walk through it with your client and change the timeframes. So you want to hire 5 new people on the sales team in October. What would it look like if we actually just pushed that to January? And what would it mean for being able to invest in our new location if we hired those 5 new people in September instead? So you can see the impacts of all of these things, and you can also bring your client into that process so that they're making decisions that impact how realistic their forecast is, and they're making sure that the forecast is reflecting where they want their business to be, not just theoretically where it will be based on how we've done in the past.
Okay, great. I love that. So I want to ask you if it can be done the opposite way. By way of example, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday who was talking about onboarding, or she had a prospect who was interested in basically their bookkeeper was not doing a great job. The business owner wanted to know, like, we're growing to this level. My business partner and I want to be able to take out $10K every month. We need to know what sales targets we need to hit in order to generate the revenue in order to be able to take out $10K every month. Would you be able to use Fathom to back into that answer from that direction?
Yeah, that is a very interesting angle. And certainly, like, that scenario specifically is probably applicable to many business owners, if not almost all.
Right, because that's how they think about it.
Right. Yeah. What's a safe amount for us to be paying ourselves and still run this business and reinvest in the business and be successful in the future? So, yeah, you can adjust things in Fathom's forecasting tool and see what the output would be, and then kind of work backwards from there. All right, that's not working. So what if we change this instead? Or what if we hire 2 salespeople that will be able to work virtually across different hours of the day rather than 5 salespeople that are in different locations? So yeah, we kind of allow you to work backwards from there. We call them micro forecasts, and I think of these as like little Lego blocks in your forecast. So they're those business decisions that are built into a forecast and impact your business performance, but they may be movable and malleable. So hiring someone, opening a new location, buying a truck or really expensive, new kitchen equipment for your bakery. All of those business decisions impact your forecast. But what if you could separate those into Lego blocks and then adjust them so that you can build out the forecast with the outcome that you're looking for? So yes, absolutely. Those adjustments are something that you can go right into Fathom and kind of play around with it. And that's where scenarios come into play as well. Maybe scenario A, which is my ideal, has some micro forecast built in the way that I hope things go and I want things to go. But there's also another scenario that may happen. Maybe we don't get that funding. And if we don't get it, let's plan for the future so that we can still take a draw from the business of the right amount to keep us surviving as business owners. And what other factors would need to change in that case if we don't get that funding? So you can build out you can plan for the future and feel sure that even if one thing doesn't go the way that it's planned to go, you've got another plan. And both plans are going to bring you the outcome you're looking for.
Let's talk a little bit about the learning curve. CPAs especially have just come off of 18 months of ridiculous, an incredibly hard tax season. Many of them are still not all the way through it. And they're wanting to shift into add more advisory and so on, but their plates are really full still. Some of them are a little bit intimidated about the learning curve of getting up to speed on a new tool that is powerful, and anything that's powerful is going to take you some time. So can you address, how long does it take to get up to speed on this thing? Like, what's a reasonable expectation for me to get into the groove and start using this with my clients?
Absolutely. Accountants have had to do so much learning on the fly this past year, especially PPP and everything that's come our way. Fathom, yes, it is a powerful tool. And even in my descriptions of it, there are a lot of functions and things that you can do within Fathom. I always recommend starting small. And if you're introducing a new tool to your clients, that's a really good way to introduce it to them without overwhelming them too. So I think it's a win-win for everyone involved. As mentioned, there are a lot of factors in Fathom that are fairly plug and play. So we've got report templates built out for you. We've got KPIs that will automatically turn on when you connect a company. So we'll build out some of those things that we think are valuable and kind of bring you to that, wow, this is really taking my business performance and bringing it to the next level. That's going to be there for you, and then we'll allow you to customize beyond that. So starting slow, starting with 3 KPIs, 3 to 5 is always what I say. That's a sweet spot. Unless you have that client that's already, you're measuring 10 for them, maybe they want those same 10, but that's probably more of an outlier. So starting with, here are those deeper insights. Let's start looking at what's beyond just your income statement. And starting slow is a good way for everyone to get involved in a non-overwhelming way. The other thing that we have recently debuted is our Fathom Advisor certification. So for a long time, we were getting that question of, where can I find self-paced, in-depth learning that's not going to just teach me about reporting in Fathom, but it's going to show me how to use all of these tools in this really powerful toolkit. So that's available within any Fathom account. It's available within a free trial as well. So it's accessible to anyone that's in our platform, essentially, and it's about 6 hours or so, but can totally be done on your own time. We have webinars and other learning resources for you to get familiar with Fathom and understand how to best leverage the tool. But yeah, that's really my greatest advice, is start with what's built there for you. Start with one of our report templates. Start with 3 KPIs that are built in. Trim it down to, maybe 4 pages that you're giving to a client, a couple new insights that they have never seen before, and build from there. You don't need to start with a 15-page report that gives insights into every single angle of their business. And in fact, that might be incredibly overwhelming to the client too. So starting small, starting simple can provide a ton of value while not overwhelming anyone on either side of it.
All right. And as the recipient of these reports, I never want to receive a 15-page report about my business.
Right.
I don't have time.
Too much. It's too much.
It's too much. And I don't know what to prioritize. That's way too much information for my brain.
Exactly.
So I want to ask you what your CPAs and accountants who have begun to implement this and use it for their clients, what are they reporting back to you about how it's either helping their clients or how it's helping them in their businesses?
Yeah. So from the client angle, some of the most powerful feedback that I've heard is we were able to go beyond the financial statement that told us the results and understand why we're losing money, where we can change things to gain profit, or, that salesperson that is not delivering, that is actually just costing us money. And so you're able to take a deeper look again under that hood of the business performance and see what's broken or see what's working really well that we should double down on. So it just gives that extra level of visibility on the movements and the mechanics of your business. And that can be so powerful. I've got so many great examples of this. There's a wonderful client story of a business owner using Fathom with his advisor because he knew that things were not on track, but he couldn't tell why that was. What are the factors that are bringing us to this place where we don't know if our doors will be open in 6 months? And allowed him to see where that was happening and immediately change things. And that panic is gone. They're still in business now, and this was about a year and a half ago or so. So just being able to bring that extra level of visibility into the movements of the business and the factors that bring you to the end results can be so powerful. From an advisor perspective, I think there is definitely this whole concept, probably for the past 3 years, probably even way longer than that, of accountants being told your job is going to get automated and, fear mongering. This is going to be this big, scary thing. You've got to pivot. You've got to do advisory to survive and to have a long future in accounting. This is what clients want. And that's pretty daunting. How do I pivot from financial statements and the conversations we're having here to advisory? What does that mean? So great feedback that we've gotten from advisors is Fathom allowed me to start those conversations. Fathom gave me my playbook for how to show clients what's going on in their business and how to get them engaged. Because I think, it can be this scary thing of, all right, I know I'm supposed to start having these conversations, but I don't really know what that looks like. And I don't know how to get the client excited about that. But if you can show them, here's where you are with cash flow, here's your goal, and here's your action plan of getting there and the things that we can change, that brings it all to life. And there are many of our tools that really start prompting questions and drive those conversations. So I even love our analysis tools are a great playbook for your virtual meeting with your client. You can show them in person as well. And of course, that's super powerful. And so many of us are meeting via our computer these days. So getting a client engaged and involved can have an extra level of challenge. But showing them the visual tools, you can even just use those in order to set your agenda for the meeting. We have an excellent advisor that does exactly that. That's his meetings, utilize all those tools, and they're built in the order that makes sense. Let's start at the highest level and let's end with the financial results. So you have a playbook built in, you have some support on starting those conversations, and you have things that are going to bring up specific questions for your client. So it allows you to drive, but you've got a system backing you up and you've got your visual aids and you've got your client tuned into those.
I love that, because one of the questions that's coming up really frequently right now is, what do I cover in my CFO advisory kind of meetings? There's a whole new way there's a whole new kind of conversation, and what's the conversation sound like? What are the KPIs that I hit? So for CPAs and accountants, having a playbook, something that's sort of template that they can just go off of to give them the structure that they need, I think would be really useful. Tell us, as we wrap up here, for people who are interested, want to find out more, want to learn more, where is the best place for them to start?
Yeah, fathomhq.com/sign up is a link to our free trial. If you land on the Fathom HQ website, we'll kind of point you right to that trial, but that's the way to get directly there. It's a 14-day fully functional Fathom account environment. So all of those cool tools like forecasting and benchmarking or consolidations, that's all going to be fully available to you to test out and try, even go through with the client and see how it lands with them. And that will inform your decisions about how you might want to roll roll that out. So the Fathom Advisor certification is available within that trial period as well. That is an excellent learning resource. You could even go through and get the basics of that START certification and then roll that free trial account into a paid subscription when you're ready to go and you've got the foundation there already.
Okay, I love that. And for listeners who need that URL one more time, we'll put it in the show notes. But Rowan, give it to us again in case our internet got garbly.
Yep. It's fathomhq.com/sign up.
There's been a lot of conversation about Fathom among my clients and in general as I listen. I know a lot of people are really excited about it. So, Rowan, thank you so much for coming on the Smart Strategy for CPAs podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Does the idea of pricing up front make you go deer in the headlights? You wish you could, but you don't know how? The next time you charge somebody $75 for the 30 minutes it took to run a tax plan that saved your client $25,000, stop what you're doing and head over to shethinksbigcoaching.com to subscribe to my daily drip of business strategy for CPAs. You'll get one easily digestible tip a day on how to position your business, how to price your services, and how to sell outcomes so that you can be more profitable, get your time back, and get off the tax hamster wheel for once and for all. That URL again is shethinksbigcoaching.com. All right, that's it from me. Have a great week.